sinners, and saints. Dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alan After Dark.
I have very vivid dreams and nightmares. I know a lot of people might say that they have dreams and nightmares that are graphic, but it seems like for me, mine are very detailed, very disturbing a lot of times, and they can trip me up. I've told people my dreams before, and they are always horrified by my graphic descriptions. I have a curious question, I guess, and I wonder what you all would think about this. Let me just give you the situation. The other night, I was having this really bizarre dream where I was on this road and I'm walking, and for some reason I know that I am not on the road I'm supposed to be on. I see a side road and I take that road thinking that it will lead me to the appropriate road that I'm supposed to be traveling. When I take this road, I see other people on it, and there are people that I don't recognize. It goes from daylight to dark in the blink of an eye. And these people just seem to be going the opposite way and totally not paying attention to me. Like 3 people go by me, they just keep going, they don't look at me, they don't acknowledge me, and I don't know who they are, but I'm continuing to walk on this road. The 4th person comes by and I recognize her. She is a good friend of mine. And I ask her, are you going the right way? Because I think we're supposed to go this way. And she says, no, I am going the way I'm supposed to. And she walks on by. Well, I keep on going for a few more steps. There's a 5th person that's approaching, and this person is very different. Picture someone totally emaciated, like their skin is just painted onto their bones, and they're wearing this black robe with a hood up over their head. But I can tell that they're emaciated, and they're holding this strange object in their hand, almost like a lantern, but it's not giving off light, and it has some sort of symbolic jewel or something in the center, almost like some sort of, I don't know what you would call it, like a pendant, a symbol of some kind that was within this lantern-shaped object. And they were holding it like it was a lantern out in front of them, but it gave no light. I felt the need to ask this being, this entity, their name. It turned to look at me, and there was no eyes. It was like a skull for a face. And it said, I am death. And I realized that it was walking toward my friend and gaining on her, and she seemed to be oblivious. And so I turned around and started following. Even though I might feel urgency, I could not run past this being, but I could walk alongside him. I kept trying to plead with him. I said, you're taking my friend, aren't you? You're here for her. He would not answer me. And I yelled ahead and told her, run, run. This is death that's chasing you. She turned and looked for a half a second, and her face was different. I can't really describe that other than she was older and looked different. Immediately, I woke up, and I was very disturbed. I was not able to go back to sleep. I was just basically frantic. Now, my question is, would you have contacted your friend and told them about this dream, or just to check on them? How would you handle a situation like that? A lot of us can be really troubled by a nightmare, a dream, and I have been in the past. And I have checked on people before, just for a little bit of peace of mind, just something to make me feel a little bit better. A lot of times I won't tell the person I'm dreaming about what the dream was actually about. But I wonder, would you tell a friend of yours that you had a dream that death was pursuing them and was about to claim their lives? I wonder. It feels like maybe that we try to derive some sort of psychic connection. We've had that discussion before, and my skepticism about things like that. It would be fascinating and great if it were true, but I really do have my doubts. I'll give you another example about something like that. I was just kind of going through the library of one of my streaming services looking for a movie, and there was a movie called Time Crimes. There was just something that was telling me to give it a shot. It was in Spanish with subtitles, and it was an interesting concept, but there came a scene in which a song by the rock group Blondie called Picture This was playing in the background, and that song played over and over. It was very prominent in this movie for a specific reason. You all know that we talked about our queens and the people that, especially gay men, we kind of adopt a certain pop star in our youth and we stay with them throughout our lives. Well, Debbie Harry, a Blondie, is mine. I got to thinking after watching the movie and pleasantly surprised and happy that that song was in this movie. And I thought, is there some sort of connection with my mind? Is there some sort of subliminal way that we connect with things that we could never imagined? I just couldn't imagine a group like Blondie having a song in a Spanish movie. Not that it's the most unusual thing, but it kind of really piqued my interest about the notion that somehow subliminally or psychically or whatever, I had an idea that maybe there was a connection with this movie that I would enjoy. What do you think? I know. I can hear what you're all saying. You're saying, Alan, are you serious with technology, the way smartphones, computers, everything is monitoring everything that we say, whatever we search on Google. So it's not a coincidence. It's not paranormal or supernatural. It's just a matter of possibly AI understanding that I'm a fan of Blondie and perhaps in its method of searching picked up the song in that movie and made it one of my recommendations. It could be that simple, I know. But where's your all's imagination? Where's your all's sense of fun? What if there is some sort of weird connection with dreams and just our regular thoughts? Like, for example, sometimes we'll be at happy hour and we'll talk about someone that we haven't seen in quite a while. And then all of a sudden they come in. And we always laugh and say, we've conjured them up. It's kind of fun to think that that's a possibility. I don't want to believe that we'll just be controlled by our technology, that in a sense, humans won't be necessary, we'll be made redundant, that all we have to do is just exist for some illogical reason because AI can somehow do everything that we can, even though that's bullshit. I really don't want to get on to AI, but it just seems to be taking over our lives whether we like it or not. I'd like to think that there is more power in the human brain than what AI is. But I have to be honest and say, logically, scientifically, that psychics really aren't real. Telekinesis and all that is not real. I mean, honestly, if psychics were really real, they would be winners of the lottery. They would be able to do things to make themselves super rich other than just trying to con people out of a few dollars here and there. You know, it's like with faith healers and all that bullshit. If they were really real, they'd be going to the hospitals and healing people, wouldn't they? Is that what's going to happen with us and AI? We are so gullible as humans that we can't see what damage AI could do. I don't really want to talk about that this week. I really, really don't. I was really wanting to talk about these unique coincidences that we have with things like conjuring someone up when you talk about them. You all have done that too, right? You all have had those moments where you're thinking about somebody and just out of the blue, you'll see them or hear from them. They'll text you or call you. And it's great. It's wonderful. I guess it could be considered creepy, but I don't know. I think it's a fun thing. And if I had any power in this brain, especially the power of persuasion, which people think that I'm really good at, I'd have Henry Cavill in my bed. No, really, I would. Oh, and just for the record, I did not tell my friend about the dream, the nightmare that I had. And I can keep track of her on social media, and she is okay. Well, sort of. It does seem that she has a family member, a close family member, that is near the end of their life. Damn, that was a bummer, wasn't it? Shit. Doesn't it bother you all? Like when you do a Google search, just maybe just something random, just out of curiosity, and then all of a sudden on Facebook, every ad is related to what you were Googling. I mean, Jesus God, it's just so annoying, isn't it? It is almost like technology and science is making humans almost irrelevant. Isn't that the warning that every apocalyptic sci-fi movie is telling us? Beware of technology. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Remember the Styx song about the dangers of technology dehumanizing the world? It might be fun to think about if it was like the animated TV series Futurama. If it was like that, it might be okay. Even that show had an episode where the technology turned against the people and it nearly destroyed the world. So even an animated comedy offers you warnings about what could go wrong with certain levels of technology. I guess that would give us more time to screw around with guys, wouldn't it? We could have sex all the time and just sucking and fucking and all that shit. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge in Alaska that goes to nowhere that I could sell you. But I also think that with advances in technology, it's letting people get away with more as well. It's hard to prove, like video recordings or audio recordings. They can be manipulated so easily now that people can just claim it's fake when it could actually be real. So you have to have people who can understand the technology and can differentiate between what's real and what's fake. But especially politicians, they will start claiming everything is AI or CGI or whatever I there is. There'll be people that will use it as a cover or as an excuse when they get caught doing something. Like, Andrew, formerly known as Prince Andrew, that first picture that came out with his arm around that girl that was trafficked by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. He was trying to say that he didn't think it was legitimate, that it was fake, even though experts all said that it was real. With technology and with the ability that it has to make these amazing fake videos, these digitally enhanced and just total fabricated images, it's going to be easier to claim that it's fake. And if you don't have really well-trained technicians who can differentiate, people will get away with that. I mean, there's enough politicians now that lie about everything, and they have enough people that believe them. It wouldn't be a leap for them to dismiss a video of the orange turd molesting a child. They would just say, oh, it was AI generated. It was fake. And that's going to be a problem too. But I'm just saying. I was reading this story about several companies that are creating androids, human-like robots that are basically identical to humans, but they are robots. And there's a lot of work going into sex dolls where they're so lifelike that they seem real. And people are spending lots of money to get a fake person that seems lifelike. I get it. I do. I get it. I think, if you have a robot that fulfills all the needs of a companion without all the emotional hang-ups, without all the worries of arguing and financial strains and cheating and all that. I mean, it makes sense. I don't know how fulfilling that is, but I guess there are chances it could break down mechanically or be hacked or something, have all kinds of problems, and it could go wackadoodle as well and try to kill you. You never know. But I guess, with everything that advances in this world, technology, whatever, there's always going to be a sexual component to it. Like with the internet, with streaming, and like OnlyFans and all those things, there is more porn and adult entertainment available at just the click of an app, a touch on your screen on your phone. And anybody can do it. There are tons of really, really hot people that have an OnlyFans page doing some of the kinkiest shit I've ever seen, but they're making bank on it. They're making a fortune, and good for them. But who would have thought, 30 years ago that advances in technology would lead to advances in sexuality, would lead to the adult industry capitalizing on that technology? For me, it's awesome. I love it. Well, let me just tell you what it was like back in the good old days, back in ancient times. I am in my late teens and I am just desperate to connect with my gay sexuality. I wanted to see naked men. The one way I thought of was to go to some of the stores that would have adult magazines, like Playboy, Hustler, and those types of magazines. And what I would do is I would get one of those, but then I would get a Playgirl and slide it underneath and let them ring them up, and they would never be really looking too closely at what I got. And that's how initially I started looking at naked men. And that was my first collection for my spank bank. If you want to know the honest truth, yeah, there you go. Ugh. In one of these magazines, I actually saw an ad that was promoting gay movies, gay porno movies. And back then, you literally had to place a mail order and wait for it to be delivered to your house. It would be delivered usually in an unmarked box or envelope with no references to what you had in it, because it was dangerous. You could be arrested for that kind of stuff. Homosexuality was still illegal up through the 80s. The Supreme Court in 1982 upheld sodomy laws. So it went from placing your own orders to eventually, when there were movie rental places, not the big ones, not like Blockbuster, but like local ones, they would sometimes have an adult section in the video store, and they would occasionally have one or two maybe gay movies that you could rent. But you were really wary of doing that because the people that worked at that store, they were gossipers, and they could tell on you. They could spread the word that you're renting gay movies, and you could be in a hell of a lot of trouble. But with technology, with smartphones, the internet, gay people are a lot safer. You can just look at it on your computer or on your phone and not have to worry about all that other shit. Once again, technology making avenues of sexuality more accessible to people that are out in the country, in these backwood deliverance country, hillbilly, Bible-beaten places that would want to crucify you for looking at a naked man or looking at a group of men fucking and sucking. But even then, I was okay watching straight porn because I was just watching the guys. It had nothing to do with the act they were performing, but it was how they looked and watching them get off, ejaculate, look at their big hard-ons and seeing their buttholes. I guess in certain ways you can look at technology as absolutely being a positive for certain aspects of life. I know what you're thinking. God damn, Alan, go out and get you some. Jesus. Well, here we are once again at the end of another episode of Alan After Dark. And I hope you've had as much fun as I've had, or I've challenged you in a way that you haven't thought about before. Either way, I hope you had a good time. And as always, remember, take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon.